Hey guys, it's Jake with the NSB Woodsman channel, and today we are going to be making flour sacks for this is going to be the first video in a several video series about assembling basically a bushcraft cook kit. And the first video we're going to make is making some flour sacks to carry basically Bannock mix in, and I'm also going to make one of these, just a simple cloth, and we're going to basically make a waxed cloth that we can wrap other food items with. So stay tuned, and we'll catch you in a minute. Alright guys, sorry if you hear my daughter's bouncing in her bouncy chair in the background, so pay no attention to that. Alright, so here's the materials that we're going to be using today. Wanted to point them out. I have two types of muslin cotton. The reason I have two types is this is the first time I'm doing this little experiment, and so I wanted to have a couple of different types of muslin to make these flour sacks with. So the first kind I have is basically the cheapest kind that the fabric store had. It's tightly knit, but if you hold it up to the light and you can kind of see through it a little bit. You can see the light, but you can't really see too much of a form behind it. So it's tightly knit, hopefully enough. But then the second kind I have is a lot more tightly knit. This is the more expensive fabric at the store, and you can see even less through it. So that's the way I'm judging this. If I can't see through it very well, I'm hoping that it'll hold flour. The thread type we're using is cotton thread, so the material is 100% cotton and the thread is 100% cotton. The reason being is they're both biodegradable, so if at any point in time, that's one of the main reasons that people really like these bags for towels and things like that, is that they're biodegradable, so they're earth healthy. It's good stuff. I bought basically some fine point needles for the sewing machine because we don't want to poke any. We want the holes to be as small as possible that we poke into our fabric, so that obviously we don't lose any of the flour that we're going to be putting in them. And that's basically all the materials that we need for this part of our project. Later on we're going to be waxing a sheet of this for just basically for a waxed cloth that we can wrap stuff with. But for right now that should be good. So stay tuned, and we're going to get cutting and sewing. Okay, so there's the first seam, and you see how it's still, you got the frayed edge exposed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this over basically just like so, and we're just going to cover that. So you could almost fold it if you wanted to right at where you had previously hemmed it. That actually works out pretty well for creating a clean edge, or you could roll it even just a little bit more if you wanted to, so that that threading isn't quite as exposed. But I don't want to lose too much volume on my sack here, so basically I'm just gonna fold it over real narrow and sew that up. And you could pin it if you wanted to. I'm just gonna freehand it. Alright guys, so there's our edge. That will be what ends up being the right side, and here's the wrong side. So nice and clean, and if you wanted to, you can kind of clean up the edges a little bit. But we're actually going to be kind of doing the same thing. Clean up these edges a little bit. So we've left a large seam clearance here around the exposed edges of our flour sack. And now, oops, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna press open this seam. And I'm just gonna use my fingers all I'm doing is pressing right through the middle of the seam to open it up a little bit and butterfly it, basically. I don't even think that's a sewing term, but it should be. So I'm just pushing right along the edge all the way around what we did. And I'll show you what we do next. Stay tuned. Alright, so the next stage of what we're going to do is we're going to select one of these edges, basically, that we just butterflied open. One of the sides we are going to cut relatively close to where we sewed. So as you can see here, this edge is a little bit cleaner than this edge, if you can see. Cleaner, frayed. I'm going to use this edge to sew with, and I'm going to cut this one as low as possible. Alright, so stay tuned, I'll show you what that looks like. So basically what I did when I cut the one edge of the seam is I folded the other half over. I'm going to demonstrate on this one what I did, okay? So here's the cut flap that I just did, and then here's the uncut flap. Basically what I do is I fold this over and almost tuck it into that short cut piece, and then I roll that whole thing over to create a nice clean edge. Alright, that's basically the process for what I'm doing there. And I've done it on the bottom seam first, and I'm gonna sew that up right now, and then I'm gonna do the long edge. Alright guys. So there it is, basically the flour sack. And again, I guess you could have this either way you wanted it. I might actually have it go this way. So what I originally had thought were the wrong sides will end up being the right sides, and I actually think I like that look better. Alright guys, so I don't have a ton of flour, but what I do have is some pancake mix. I'm not going to load this sucker up, but what I want to try and do is throw a little bit in there and see if I jostle it around if any's going to come shooting out the edge. Alright, so oh, okay. Aha. You see that? I am getting some shooting out, but it appears to be coming out maybe right here where the corner is. Let's see. Let's dump some over in that corner and no. Boy, I tell you, I mean, it's not going to be often that I beat the flour sack like that. So considering looks like I'm losing some very fine particles. Can you see that? So there is a little bit coming out when I beat it like that, but really, otherwise, if I just do that, it's really not coming out at all. What I should have done is, you see how wide the stitches are? I should have adjusted the stitch length on this to be a little bit more narrow, just to really tighten up those seams. But I actually think that the cheapo, you know, $3.99 per yard muslin cotton is going to do just fine. Alright guys, so this has been the first video in a series about bushcraft cooking, bushcraft cook kit. Today I made the bag, and in the next video I'll probably show you how to make the beeswax cloth. It's going to be the same material. I'm just going to saturate it in melted beeswax and let it dry to create a waxed cloth. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you liked this video, please feel free to subscribe. I definitely appreciate your support. Catch you next time. This has been Jake with the NSB Woodsman channel. Take it easy.